G'day everyone, it is the end of the day, I'm heading home, but I thought I might just take a couple of minutes to check in with you briefly and fill you in on what I'm working on, because the thought has occurred to me that the nature of YouTube changing is amplified in a degree that for this video I can really demonstrate I guess what the scale is in terms of what the requirement is from creators. So obviously there's a lot of conversation happening these days about YouTubers who have been doing things for a long time, sort of retiring. You've got Matt, Pat, and others sort of, wrapping it up. There's a lot of people talking about that and how the platform's changed and what the different pressures are and all this stuff. I think there are multiple factors as to why that sort of happens. There's obviously always going to be many sides to it, but I think it does boil down to a few different things. One is when you do something for a long time, it's hard to sustain, especially in a high intensity. And YouTube demands a high intensity. It's referred to as a treadmill, and I totally agree with that. It's, it's a fairly fast pace. And if you sort of step off the treadmill, your channel suffers for it and all that stuff. But then the other thing that's interesting is that the intensity genuinely builds. So I'm working on a video at the moment. I had a video last week that, as you might have seen in a vlog, where I just sort of, needed to sort of step away, recalibrate, come back and sort of realign myself with the scope of the video, because it was, heading towards burnout territory. So I recalibrated. I'm really happy with how that turned out. But then started this week, I was like, okay, I need to chill it out a little bit. So I've decided that this week is just going to be a little more low key. My team came up with a really great idea, put a bit of work into pre-prep for it to make my life easier. And so I gave myself what essentially began as like a 1 day, 1.5 day concept in terms of like my filming time. It sounds really spoiled but there's so much stuff that takes up my time. It's not like I just want to work a day and a half this week. No, it's just that with all the things taking up my time in the 3 days I usually have allocated to filming, I don't want to be pushing and stressing and sprinting the whole time, because doing that week after week after week obviously kills the passion. So we picked this really cool concept, and I'm redrawing I'm drawing the Lord of the Rings, some Lord of the Rings monsters and characters based on Tolkien's original text and letters, and it's a really fun experience. But each result, I can't help myself, just because I want the video to be what works on YouTube now. And I'm just struck by, I guess what this conversation is about, what I'm getting at. I'm struck by how each result, I've done 4. And about 4 or 5 years ago, any single one of these would have been a great single video on its own. Would have been really happy with any single one of them to be the whole video, and it would have been the equivalent of a day's work. I used to do 2 to 3 videos a week. So I don't want to spoil them for you. I'll show you one. I'll show you one of it. So spoiler for the video coming out. But this is my Shelob. I'm very, very happy with it. It's very intense. This is just one of 4. And anyone who's watched my videos for any given period of time will know that, in the character design sessions and all this stuff, this is as much, if not more detailed than a lot of those illustrations. And I'm doing 4 of them, all to the same standard. And there's a lot more than just the one illustration. I've got sketches and all that stuff for these characters all coming together. I did this moody vibe with props and stuff for the sketching phase. There's so much storytelling to go with it. And that's more than just me amplifying myself over time. That's actually the platform, because everyone's done that. And I'm just finding it a really interesting observation to know that there's more than quadruple the time on my part. There's also way more effort from more people to meet a certain standard. There's so much more that needs to move in a video. I've got this sort of ancient tome thing for the sketching thing, then this clean illustration style with markers for all the coloring. So the video is going to move between this these different visual styles to keep people's attention, then cut to sort of like some concept art of other people who have done illustrations of that stuff. I guess the thing I'm getting at is it's just an interesting experience to be doing the same activity that I used to do a lot of with my character design sessions 5-6 years ago, and how different it is now just to meet the minimum standard. Even when I'm taking it easy, I don't want the channel to suffer. And it's taking more than I originally planned. The good news, obviously, is that I'm really enjoying it. I have more than enough time to do this. So it's actually still a really refreshing and fun process. It feels like it's going back to my roots a bit. But it is really fascinating to have that direct comparison and feel that visceral difference. And it goes to show, like, you know, you gotta, if you do this and if you find success on YouTube today, you have to fight and actively work on, you know, balance and your mental health. And like, there's two fights at the same time. There's the fight of content, which is aggressive and difficult and constant and ceaseless and ever growing. And then there's the fight of the self, because YouTube in its nature is a platform of personalities, and it requires more and more of the people who are giving themselves in these videos. And I'm just very grateful to have a team that's supporting me and a community that is so understanding and helpful through all of this. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting to share. But anyways, the other reason I'm sharing that is to share the good news that I've just really enjoyed stepping back, and I've still been doing just as much work, except that I'm not cramming on this one. Like, I gave myself like, I want to aim for a 1.5 day video. Oh, it'll be bleeding into the 3rd day tomorrow. I'm wrapping up the last piece. But I'm really happy with the result. And I've not been stressed over and rushing it. And then we can sort of get back to the whole system next week. But I thought I'd share that with you. I'm going to wrap up with the question of the day from Keg7991, who says, what would be your dream scale for your business/YouTube channels? Would you like to be a media giant, etc., doing something similar to what the Vlogbrothers did many years ago? That's a really good question, because I am inevitably drawn to scale. I think because creative things excite me, and you can do so much more and bigger and more interesting and exciting creative things with more people and with more resources and tools and facilities. But also, my dream retirement is exactly what I'm doing, without pressure, without the deadlines, honestly. You know, so I love both. And I think while the iron's hot, you know, I'm going to strike it and make hay while the sun shines, as they say. You know, I want to grow a company. I want to create more opportunities for people. I want to make bigger, better, cooler things, but also I want to try and do that in a way that in the long term is sustainable, which means I can slowly give other people responsibilities, slowly give myself more room to work towards my dream retirement, which is doing exactly what I'm doing without deadlines and pressure. But I tend to put those on myself anyway, and I probably will be doing that when I'm like 90 anyway. Thanks for joining, guys. See ya.